What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Primetime Sports Podcast, hosted by Joey Malari. So today's a very special episode. I'm outside here, beautiful day in South Boston, here with my buddy, longtime friend, Christian Koutsoubis. He's been on the radio show before. You've probably been on the podcast now once or twice, right? I'd imagine.
Yeah, a few times.
At some point. Here he is now to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the New York Knicks, who've had a great season, playing great basketball right now. They're number 4 seed in the East. So we'll start off. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. Big day tomorrow, obviously. You got the 49ers, the Chiefs going at it. I think when you look at that game, what I'm looking for is the Chiefs defense to try to make plays. They got to step up and try to stop that rushing attack that obviously the Niners have had a great season with, running the ball with Christian McCaffrey. I think that's what the game's going to come down to. Can the Kansas City defense stop that offense, which the defense has been great all year long. They stopped Lamar Jackson, obviously. They made things tough on Josh Allen as well. They've had a good run, though, in the playoffs, this Chiefs team. So I think it's going to come down to that Chiefs defense making plays. What do you think when you look at that game?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl in the beginning of the playoffs. I had them playing the Rams, though, so that didn't pan out. But
hey, you had the Chiefs, though.
I had the Chiefs, though. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I don't really understand why they're underdogs in this game. I know the 49ers had a better regular season, obviously, but, like, Chiefs just beat the Ravens. They just beat the Bills, who are the best teams in the AFC. Yeah. The 49ers look like they were about to lose 2 games in a row. So I think the Chiefs have been kind of hot right now, and the fact that they came out as 2.5-point underdogs, I think it's 1.5 now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, like why keep making Mahomes an underdog? Just fueling him, like
100%.
I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think they're kind of becoming villains a little bit in the league, and I think they're kind of liking it. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, I think Purdy and McCaffrey are going to show up. I think they'll play well. But I think I'm going to go Chiefs 27-24 in this game. I think it'll be a close one. I think they're going to pull it out.
I like that. I like that actually a lot, the 27-24 prediction. I'm going to go Chiefs winning this game. I'm going to go a little bit lower scoring maybe. I think it'll be a close game, though. I'm probably going to go something like 23-20. I think the Chiefs find a way to win. I think their defense is going to be a big reason they win that game. Super Bowl MVP is always up for debate. Most of the time it's a quarterback, but I know a lot of people always like looking at the long shot guys and, picking a random player on defense or something. I think it's probably going to end up being Mahomes if the Chiefs win. One guy I do like a lot, though, is L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback on the Chiefs. If he can make a big play in that game, a big interception, a big pick six, whatever it may be, I think he's the guy to look at maybe as a potential long shot. But I do like the Chiefs team, though, on defense. I like the way they play. So I'm thinking it's going to come down to them making a big play. I think Mahomes is going to have a good game as well. Just like you said, those guys probably have to show up. They have no option. Mahomes has to carry that offense. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's been carrying that offense all year long in San Francisco, but they have a lot of weapons. But that offense does run through him. I think it's going to be the Chiefs, though. But who do you think Super Bowl MVP?
Well, kind of like you said, like, I think this is probably the best defense Mahomes has had, right?
Yeah, definitely.
In a while, at least. Like,
definitely. Even
though they didn't have the best regular season, like, that defense is full of studs. I don't know. It's tough. Like, I'm thinking, like, if I had, like, $1 to put on the game or something, would you bet, like, Purdy or Mahomes or the field? Like, yeah, it's tough. Like,
it's always the quarterback.
That's the
problem.
A lot. I actually saw a stat. I think it was 4 of the last 10 were non-quarterbacks, I think.
Okay.
All right. 10. So, like,
that's pretty good, then.
It could happen.
It's about half, almost.
I mean, if Kelsey has a couple touchdowns, I could see him maybe being the MVP, like, doing something like that. Give a little heart to Taylor in the stands. I don't know.
Why not? Yeah, Travis Kelsey honestly isn't a bad bet to look at there.
I think I'd probably say Kelsey, I think, honestly. Like,
Kelsey's your Super Bowl MVP pick. I like that.
Yeah,
like
even though it's probably not the most, like, popular pick right now, I feel like people haven't been the biggest fan of him lately. But
as a Taylor, yeah, the whole Taylor Swift situation.
I didn't like when he was throwing Justin Tucker's helmet around either.
I did not like that. I did not like that either. I think you got to play respectful.
Yeah.
And
like,
sportsmanship.
Tucker's a good guy.
Yeah, he's just chilling, just trying to warm up for the game. He's also the home kicker there, so it's like he can kind of pick wherever he wants to kick as the home team. It's I
didn't like that.
I don't like that either. Mahomes and Kelsey, I thought they were both disrespectful for doing that. But they were probably just trying to, get the juices flowing, add some, add some juice to the game, obviously, making it more like an argument beforehand, get people fired up.
Yeah.
But I didn't like that either. I wasn't a big fan. I was actually rooting against them, which I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. So.
Oh, yeah. What'd you think about that game?
Tough one. Zay Flowers, that fumble really did do the Ravens in.
He had a tough drive, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you look at that team, though, like that was their winning formula all season long was Lamar Jackson making plays and a big-time throw, a big-time run. Like, that drive there, that could have been a big answer for them to really get themselves back in that game. And then the fumble just completely turned things, away downhill for them, unfortunately. But
I don't know. I just felt like they kind of got away from their identity a little bit in that game.
Yeah.
Like, they started out, I think, quick 3 and out, and the Chiefs got the ball ran down the field, scored quick.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just flustered the Ravens a ton, and they just never got back to like the way they play. The Chiefs didn't even score in the second half.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't see like the Ravens I was used to in that game. Like,
yeah, that's a great point. They didn't run the ball at all, and I apologize for the plane sounds here, which is beautiful, beautiful day out. So you can hear the birds chirping, I'm sure. I think this adds a great, element to the podcast. Beautiful day out here, but I think you said it perfectly. They got away from their identity. They didn't run the ball with their running backs at all. I think they had like 5 carries or something. I heard to their running backs.
Gus Edwards, like Justice Hill, like they were a big part of their offense like the whole year.
Yeah.
Like even though they're not like stud running backs, like that was their
productive running backs. You can depend on them. Yeah.
And then you have Lamar that everyone's obviously afraid of.
100%.
So, read option and everything. I just think. I don't know. His passing stats weren't great, and I felt like they kept trying to like force the ball. Maybe they should have just stayed with what they're doing all year.
Stay with what works, running the ball, obviously. And that who'd they play in that game? It was it Gus Edwards a running back? I'm trying to think. Who was their starting running back? Probably Gus Edwards. They only ran the ball with him a couple times, and they didn't even go back to him. I was trying to think if they had another running back, but I think I remember the stat. It was
Justice Hill a little bit, but
yeah, okay.
I don't think he did much either, like you said.
Because I was trying to think, was somebody hurt? Like what is the reason for not running the ball to the running backs ever in that game? Like 5 times, whatever it was. Like that was a problem, obviously. And if you look at that Chiefs team, like defensively, obviously they've been great all year long. That was obviously a big thing for them all year, was their defense playing, like you said, is the best defense Mahomes has had. But it doesn't mean you can't run the ball at all or even try. You know what I mean? They didn't even try. Like that's a problem. And like I said, though, I thought maybe there would be an injury or something. That's why they didn't run the ball. But they would have went to Justice Hill if, let's say, Gus Edwards was hurt. You know what I mean? They didn't do that. So they did get away from their identity, and obviously the Zay fumble completely just flipped things around. They did have a chance, though. I mean, they were right there in the game. It wasn't, even though the score, looked, what was it, a 2-score game when Zay fumbled? It was like a 10-point game, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, that drive for Zay. I mean, he had a big catch, and then kind of the taunting call kind of.
Yeah, did him in. Yeah, the taunting call was a problem.
And then, I mean, the fumble wasn't that was a great defensive play.
Jerry Sneed, that's my Super Bowl MVP pick.
I mean,
right there,
if he does something like that again, I think you got it.
I'm hoping he makes a big play, like a big pick 6 or something. But it's crazy.
It happens. Who was Seahawks?
Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith out of nowhere.
Yeah,
right?
He had a great game. No one expected that at all. He had a great game. It should have been Malcolm Butler. That Super Bowl, the Patriots beat the Seahawks. You're right. I mean, 4 out of 10 is a good amount.
You
Actually,
have to make a couple
players.
big plays.
Yeah. That's actually a lot, though. It was 4 non-QBs.
4 non-QBs.
Okay, 4 non-QBs. So it wasn't 4 defensive. But 4 non-QBs, which is actually more than I thought. And we're looking at 40%. Yeah. I would have said, if you asked me before, I would have said like 2. I didn't think it was that many.
Yeah, Edelman got one, right?
Edelman did, yeah. He had a great game.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else of recent Super Bowl winners. Mahomes won 2020s.
Yeah.
Brady won 2021, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right. In 2022...
Was it?
I'm trying to think.
Was it Stafford?
It might have been Stafford. Cooper Kupp was ridiculous, though.
Might have been Cooper.
I think it was Cooper Kupp. I think it was Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And honestly, he had 100 plus yards. I think it was Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. 4 non-QBs. I didn't even know there was that many. And that, like I said, that's 40% right there. We're looking at almost half. And I would have said 2 if you asked me before. So I like L'Jarius Sneed, though. That's my pick for Super Bowl MVP. Most of the time, it ends up being the quarterback, it seems like. But
I don't want to go with the quarterback because I feel like that's a lame answer. So I feel like I'm going to say Kels, but also I really like Rashee Rice. I feel like he really came on in the middle of the year. And
SMU.
Yeah, SMU guy. He became their one, like, very obviously, and I thought it was fun watching him and Zay in that last game.
Definitely.
2 rookie wide receivers,
definitely
BC SMU guys.
Some Fenway Bowl action, little rivalry between the 2 schools going to the ACC now with SMU jumping to the ACC.
But yeah, Rashee Rice looks very good. He became Mahomes' number 1. I think he's a guy like he trusts. I mean,
100%.
Like
he's a stud. Yeah.
Our ex-Giant Kadarius Toney's not seeing the field anymore.
Seems like he's not going to play for them. Maybe again.
That was
a great trade.
He's not going to be eligible for this game, I assume, right?
Probably not. I mean, he said he's not hurt though, so I don't know. And I know they have some injuries. Joe Thuney's hurt for the Chiefs. That's obviously a loss. He's been huge for them all year on the offensive line. But as I said, though, that defense is capable of winning them the game, even if that offense doesn't have that great of a game. Which I think it's going to come down to the Chiefs' defense, and obviously the 49ers' offense has been lethal. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Chris McCaffrey.
I think Deebo Samuel and Chris McCaffrey are 2 of the most dynamic players in the league.
Yeah.
Like they could interchange their roles like every play and
jump in the slot, get in the backfield.
I love watching both of them. Deebo's one of the coolest guys to watch. Breaks so many tackles. So if those 2 go off, I mean, it'll be a great game. Like I'm excited to watch it, but I think the Chiefs pull out a close one.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Chiefs in this game. The 49ers, they played the Giants earlier this season. It was a Thursday night game, and they ran their mouths after the game, unfortunately. Talking about Daniel Jones, I was not a fan of that. The defensive players. It was Eric Armstead on Twitter, and after the game, I think it was Dre Greenlaw saying in the post-game interview something about Daniel Jones and how they knew he wasn't good, and they knew how to beat him because they knew he was going to make mistakes. And I wasn't a fan of them running their mouth with Daniel Jones. I was rooting against them all season long. And even though I'm not the biggest Chiefs fan either, I think it's just a great story looking at Patrick Mahomes and obviously his legacy and what they're building in Kansas City.
Hey, what do you think if he wins this one? He has 3. I mean, you don't want to start the Brady talks yet, but
yeah,
the Patriots fans are probably getting a little nervous.
They are. They are.
I heard one of my buddies. I was basically bringing this up, and he goes like, "You can't even have the debate because Brady beat Mahomes." So,
yeah, Brady gave him his first loss in the NFL, his first postseason loss. Yeah,
so which is a good point, but it's tough. We'll see. I guess it's very early in his career still. So
it is. I mean, he's still got a long way to go to catch Brady. Like that's the thing. Even if he wins this 3rd Super Bowl ring, to catch up to 7 still a lot. Like you know what I mean? That's a long way to go. And Brady, I mean, they had a window the Patriots didn't win for 10 years. You know what I mean? Mahomes, it seems like they're just automatic every year. They're making a run in the playoffs.
6 AFC Championship games.
6 AFC Championship games. Yeah.
That's very
it's ridiculous.
Impressive. I mean,
it's like LeBron's run every single year in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was just a lock every year, and then making the NBA Finals. What was it, 6 years in a row or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something ridiculous with Cleveland. But
I mean, they're definitely a dynasty at this point, especially if
they
win this one.
I'm looking forward to the game, just seeing, obviously, the storylines going in. It's going to be Taylor and Travis is going to be a big one. Mahomes versus Brady is going to be a big one. Brock Purdy's story all season long has been great. Obviously, he's an underdog.
I'm a fan of Brock Purdy. I like him. I don't understand why he was getting a lot tackle throughout the year.
I wasn't a big fan. I'll say that.
Really? Why?
I just thought he had a perfect situation. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
he does.
Offensive line's not great. The left tackle's great, Trent Williams. But overall, the offensive line isn't great. But the weapons are just like
I don't think it's
so automatic.
I don't think it's his fault though.
No, it's not his fault. You can't blame him. He's just in a good situation. You know, he's got a great coach. Kyle Shanahan obviously sets you up in a great offensive system. It's quarterback-friendly offense.
Yeah,
a lot of touch passes and all that. But
I feel like if he was a top pick, say he was like a top 10 pick though, like everybody would be saying like he's doing exactly what he's a stud quarterback that got drafted and is doing like he's playing amazingly. But since he was like the last pick in the draft, I feel like he has this chip on his shoulder where it's always like, oh, the only reason he's good is because he has these guys
100%.
around him. Like
the perception of him is different because of where he was drafted.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it should be the reverse. You should root for a guy that's the last pick of the draft. Which I was never rooting against him. I always respected his game. Obviously,
he's not a guy that like runs his mouth either. So
no, he's not.
Like,
he's very well spoken as a quarterback. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. But
all he's done in the league since he got there was win. He's 21-5 in his career. The only playoff game he lost is when he blew out his elbow.
Yeah, that was a tough game. They couldn't move the ball. They ended up getting Josh Johnson in the game, former Giant. He had to get
former
in there.
Giant, former Jet.
Yeah, he was in there. Former everything. He played everywhere in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he got in that game, if I remember right. It was Josh Johnson.
Well, they had McCaffrey.
McCaffrey was in
for a little bit.
So I think Josh Johnson went down with an injury too. So McCaffrey had to get in there, like Wildcat type offense. But it was pretty crazy though watching that game. But yeah, I don't root against Brock Purdy. It was never that. My friend Mike Hurley, huge Brock Purdy fan. He's loved him now probably the last couple seasons, been a big fan of him. But it was never rooting against him. That wasn't the thing. It was just I thought he had a great situation around him, and I could never say MVP just because I thought everything around him was good. But at the same time, it's still hard to win football games. It's hard to win 21 games, like you said. Like, it's hard to make the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Even if you're in a great situation. So I don't take that away from him. I just thought he's got more around him than most quarterbacks. And I love Daniel Jones. I never thought he had half the stuff that Brock Purdy has around him.
If he had what Brock Purdy had around him, I think Daniel Jones would be as good, if not better, than Brock Purdy. I agree.
Daniel Jones is my boy, as you know. What's your opinion on Daniel Jones and the future of him with the Giants? Which I know I was switching gears.
I definitely want him to be the starting quarterback next year. Like, I definitely think he needs another shot. They need to improve the offensive line because if he goes in there with 100%. The same thing that happened this year, he's going to get hurt again, and he's got to be running for his life. And
definitely,
it just stinks because going into this year, there was so much hope. Like that first Cowboys game, like everyone was excited. Even I remember the first drive, Giants were driving down the field.
He looks great.
We were flying down the field, and then they got stopped going to kick a field goal, and then blocked, returned for a touchdown. And then
next drive, pick six off Saquon's hands.
The season just went downhill from there. But like,
no worse way to stop the season.
Tommy DeVito's not going to be a starting quarterback of the Giants.
No, he's not. It's a great story. Yet again, just like Brock Purdy.
It was a great 3 weeks for him, but
great story being a local kid growing up a fan.
You think there's any chance we draft a quarterback next year? Or?
So I've had a few mock drafts. I had the Giants draft a quarterback. They were more early mock drafts, and now in the last 2 or 3 I've done, I have the Giants actually taking either an offensive lineman, whether it's Olu Fashanu from Penn State, or even taking Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Either go and tackle maybe. Then in that case, maybe you move Evan Neal inside to guard. But Evan Neal's just probably too big to be a guard. He's 6'7", which is the problem.
I'm not a fan of Evan Neal.
Yeah,
ever since he said the Giants fans are just flipping burgers and stuff.
Yeah, he was not right to talk about the fans at all, especially when he's playing poorly. Like fans, I understand you want to be talented, but at the same time, they want to see their team win. Yeah. He was struggling. The Giants were struggling overall. You really can't go on the fans like that. I think he learned his lesson. He had an apology, and it's good to learn that lesson earlier in your career. Just so you can, learn from your mistakes. And obviously the Giants are struggling, so there's not going to be any good storyline against a team that, wins 5-6 games. So that was obviously tough. And it's New York too, so anything you say is going to, go crazy in the media. Yeah. Which you sent me that radio segment. It was, whose show is it?
It was Michael Kay.
Yeah, Michael Kay. Yeah. It was great. He went off about Evan Neal. He wasn't a fan of Evan Neal. I think we move him maybe to inside to guard, take a tackle. I think that could be a possible thing the Giants do. But if I'm picking and I'm the Giants, I'm taking Rome Odunze from Washington, throw him in, make him the wide receiver one. But who would you want? A certain position or a player? Well, is it a quarterback? It's fine if it is.
That's a tough thing. It's like you need a line, but also Daniel Jones has not had like a number one wide receiver in his career. And like they tried to get Darren Waller for him, but he's a tight end. He was banged up all year. Like I don't think he's going to be like a one.
Darren Waller, yeah. I had higher hopes for him in the red zone especially. But he battled injuries. And
how many years Daniel Jones been playing now? 5, 6?
He's going into fifth year.
He has not had one stud wide receiver, I don't think.
Yeah.
Trying to get him Kenny Golladay.
You're right. He hasn't had any. You're right.
Like, so do we have the cap space? Like, I guess maybe make a trade for a receiver?
You could make the trade. We have about $35 million in cap right now, if I remember right from looking a couple days ago. He's going into his 6th year, like you said, so I know a lot of people don't expect quarterbacks to take a big jump in their 6th year. You want that in year 2 or 3. But Daniel Jones has shown flashes. We made the playoffs, won our first playoff game in years, obviously with Daniel Jones at quarterback.
That contract, though, a lot of people I know aren't happy about it.
I was a fan of the contract, and my opinion of it is still the same today. That's just what quarterbacks get today.
It is, and after that playoff game, he threw for what?
He had a great stretch.
3 passing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing one in that game against the Vikings.
Threw for like 250, ran for like 70-something. I mean,
he was the only quarterback ever in NFL history to, I forget the stat, it was something ridiculous, like to throw for 250 yards with no turnovers and 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
He beat a very good Vikings team, too. Like, you had to pay him.
They were 13-3, I think the Vikings were?
I know, obviously, as like football fans, we have very like short memories, so we only remember like the recent things. But Giants fans were all over him and loved him after that game.
I was a big fan, yeah.
No, you were since day one.
I was a fan since day one. That game, I was just so psyched seeing everything just come together.
Everybody after that season, we had so much hope with Dable coming in. He won Coach of the Year. Everyone was like, got re-signed Daniel Jones, and everyone was excited about it. And then after like 2 games this year, everyone's like, he sucks again. So it was
a tough situation. I still believe in Daniel Jones. I still think he could be the answer. If it's not in New York, I'll root from wherever he goes. I always said, this was probably 3 years ago now, when I first started my radio show, it was a playbook with Joey and Zach. Me and Zach were in the studio junior year. I remember saying, if Daniel Jones goes somewhere else, I think he can succeed and win a Super Bowl elsewhere, and I'm rooting for him. And this was 3 years ago. The Giants weren't having a great season at Joe Judge's last season. I said at one point I was rooting more for Saquon and Daniel Jones to do well more than the Giants winning. And that's not something you want to do as a fan. You obviously want to root for the team, but I was a bigger Daniel Jones fan at one point than I was a Giants fan, just because of obviously all the negative criticism around him. No one was really a fan. Everyone was bashing him. I'm going to root for him no matter where he ends up. And I always thought if he goes somewhere else, I think he could be the Jim Plunkett, former Patriot quarterback. I believe it was in the 80s and the 90s. Really struggled. New England ran him out of town, goes to the Raiders and wins 2 Super Bowls. I think Daniel Jones has what it takes to win Super Bowls elsewhere if it's not here in New York. But we'll see. But what do you think about Saquon Barkley? Do you think he's going to come back? He's now a free agent. I don't think they're going to tag him again. I don't think he wants to be tagged, obviously.
I don't think he'll want to be tagged. I mean, it's so tough. We even saw it again. He got hurt a bunch last year. Like, how do you give him a long-term contract? Like,
yeah, you're right.
Like, it's just a tough thing with running backs, and it's not. He's a stud, obviously. Like, don't get me wrong. He's when he's healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Definitely.
But I don't think him and the Giants are very close in the amount of money he wants versus what they want to give him.
Definitely. And you can get young running backs too. You can get young running backs, too. If you look like Isaiah Pacheco, he was a 7th-round pick. Devon Achane wasn't a top pick in the draft. I believe he was like a 4th or 5th-round pick to the Dolphins. So you can get guys later in the draft. You don't have to get guys in the top of the 1st round. You don't have to pay guys as well because you can kind of just wait for that next running back. Am I a fan of that being the system, of guys being able just to be tossed around as a running back? No, I think it's obviously unfair, but that's just the way the position is. No one pays running backs and you just get the next one. It's just unfortunate, but that's just the way the NFL is. Just because running backs are very a very dangerous position. Guys get hurt a lot, obviously. Very physical position, tolling on the body.
But we actually saw one guy this year in his year, how old is he, 31, Raheem Mostert, out of nowhere, 20 touchdowns with the Dolphins. He's a stud. I mean, it's something could happen.
Definitely. I'm not bashing the position. I love Saquon.
No, yeah.
I wish he got his money before. Now, obviously, after a year he was hurt and the Giants struggled, he might not get the money that he wanted last year. I would give him right now, if I'm making a decision with the Giants, I'd give him a 3-year, $30 million offer. That might even be a lot, $10 million a year, considering he just got hurt and the running back market's going downhill. You're not going to see a $15 million running back for a while.
I think he also does want to be in New York.
I think he does.
I think
he wants to retire a Giant yesterday.
Giants, yeah. He did?
He did say yesterday. I said he wants to retire a
I
Giant.
didn't even
He
see
said
that,
he wants to spend his career with the Giants. I saw yesterday in a quote. So, I don't know. I'd love to see him stay with the Giants and be back, but I do know, obviously, the running back position is something that nobody wants to pay. And I'm a big fan of Gary Brightwell. I don't know if he's going to be the RB1, but I think he's a late round draft pick. I think he was a 6th or 7th round pick by Dave Gettleman 2 or 3 years ago now. I'm a big fan of him. I think you could maybe run the ball with him. I think he could be a valuable running back. Obviously, we've seen some flashes. He hasn't really had too many opportunities, but a couple games he had some opportunities. When Saquon was hurt against the 90s, he had a couple plays right away when he stepped in the game on Thursday Night Football. This was week 3 or 4 against the Niners. But, yeah, it's tough, though, being a Giants fan, considering how high hopes were going into the season and then how everything fell downhill. But that's sports, I guess,
Yeah.
It's a big rise and fall, sports,
Exactly.
Being a New York sports fan, too. I mean, I'm a Boston sports fan growing up. Now I'm a Clippers fan. I understand the agony of, every year being the year and then things falling apart. The Clippers, every year, I think it's the year for them, and things obviously haven't completely gone their way the last few seasons, but this year it's looking like this is a different team. The Knicks, it seems like every single year I think they're going to take a big step up. We're waiting for it. This is the big step up year they've taken, though. Last year they beating the Cavs was huge. I didn't expect them to beat the Cavs in the playoffs. Now we're switching gears to the Knicks. This could be the year for the Knicks to make a run, though. You know what I mean? Every year, this could be the year they take a step up, just like the Yankees always. I always, have high hopes of the Clippers, like I've said. This is the year, though, the Knicks are taking a big step up. What have you seen from this team, whether it's a big play, a big player, a big win? What have you seen from this Knicks team?
I love this Knicks team. I'm very, very happy watching the Knicks this year. I mean, you look at it, I think they've been making great trades, which they have not done in years. I mean, I think it was end of the 20 teens, they were ranked the worst run franchise in sports.
Because of Dolan, dude.
I mean, he still owns the team, but I think he took a step back on decision making and stuff. So I think right now we're the 4 seed, but we've gotten up to the 3. We won 9 straight games. So a couple injuries. Randall's been hurt. OG since that trade, since right when we traded for him, won 9 straight games.
OG was a great addition. I honestly thought that trade was.
I thought it was an awesome addition. I mean,
yeah.
I think RJ Barrett, he was always good with us, but I don't think he ever took that big leap forward that everyone expected him to. And I think he's honestly playing better in Toronto right now. So
More comfortable, probably.
I think he's kind of. I think it was a good trade. Honestly, I was kind of sad to lose Quickly. I think
Quickly's a beast.
I know you he's a Kentucky guy.
He's a Wildcat, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
a fan of him.
Yeah.
But I think that trade for OG was great, and we just got a couple guys from the Pistons, Bogdanovich and Alec Burks, which I think was a good trade too. I mean, we needed to make that trade since we got these injuries piling up. Will give us a lot more depth, and I think when our guys are all healthy, I think we're going to be dangerous. I mean,
definitely.
I think Randall has done a really good job this year. I think he kind of understands that Brunson's become the face of the team, and that was probably the best deal the Knicks have made ever.
I was so shocked. I thought it was an overpay, and he completely proved me wrong. You know what I mean? I thought it was a big contract.
You look at that contract now, and
it's still
it
now.
Looks great,
with how much money everyone's getting now in the NBA, $50 million. Most contracts are going for. It's
But you know what? That guy. You know what? He was the leader of that Villanova team. Won 2 championships there. 2nd round pick. Never really got the respect he deserved. And then finally, when he got the chance in the playoffs with the Mavericks, when Luka was hurt, he showed what he could do, and then he kept it going with the Knicks and put it to another level. He's averaging 27 points a game.
He's been great. He's been great. The Nova Knicks, they call them.
Yeah.
Because you got Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, and obviously Brunson.
We lost my boy Arcidiacono in the trade, though.
I saw that. You weren't a fan of the move because of that.
Yeah. No, but
and Quentin Grimes as well. I like Grimes. He's a good player, but I think the trade was an absolute steal for you guys. I thought Detroit was going to ask for more. I thought Bogdanovich, probably could have went for a 1st round pick. I thought just because what he can bring. I mean, he's offensively, 3-point shooting.
I mean, I think he's averaging 20, shooting
20
over
points
40% from 3.
He's great. I mean, he opens up your offense. offense.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys have a lot of great role players. Josh Hart's been great. Hartenstein's been very good.
Yeah.
I think you guys are dangerous, though. You are.
It's the most hope I've had as a Knicks fan since probably like 2012.
Yeah, which is great, though. This is what I love. I love when New York sports are playing better because I think it makes
basketball better.
Definitely.
When the Knicks are good.
100%. 100%. I root for New York teams to do well because I feel like when they're struggling, they have a lot of games on TV and nobody wants to watch a Giants team that has 4 wins. I want to, but I'm saying the country. I think it always makes things more interesting when New York's doing better. Whether it's the Yankees, Mets, obviously the Knicks, the Giants. I think it makes sports better. But the Knicks have looked great. I think when you look at that Eastern Conference, I think it's going to really come down to 3 teams that are the best teams in the East. I think the Celtics right now probably is still the favorite in the East. Rightfully so. They have a great team. I think the Knicks can match up well with them, though. Defensively, especially, the Knicks play very good defense. OG being able to be a 3-and-D addition to that lineup was obviously huge. And then if you look at the Cavs, I think the Cavs playing great basketball right now. They won a lot of games with a lot of injuries. They had Evan Mobley hurt for a while, Darius Garland hurt for a while, and Donovan Mitchell was doing a lot with that team with a lot of injuries. Those are my 3 teams in the East to watch out for. I think Milwaukee's a very good team. I think they have flaws defensively. They're 1-5, I think, to the start of the Doc Rivers era, but I think most of the time there's growing pains when you get a new coach or a big trade or a big player, addition to your lineup. There's always going to be growing pains. They'll probably figure things out at some point, especially when you have Giannis and Damian Lillard. You should figure things out. And then there's one other team in the East, and I'm forgetting, the Sixers. With Joel Embiid hurt, I mean, you really can't rely on them to make a big run. You can't expect anything. So we'll see when he comes back from his injury, the meniscus injury, but I think the Knicks can make a run. What team do you fear the most in the East? Celtics, Sixers?
I'd have to say the Celtics. They always we'll always play close with them and they always pull it out. I don't think we beat them yet this year. I think
played them hard though.
I think we're finally hit I think when we play them again, we'll be hitting our stride.
Definitely. Get healthy. That's the most important.
Yeah, we got to get healthy. But if I had to make a prediction, biased kind of, I'm predicting a Knicks Celtics Eastern Conference Finals.
I like it.
Which
though.
I'd love
That'd be
to
sick.
see.
Boston, New York.
Yeah, as a New York sports fan living in Boston right now, it'd be pretty fun to watch.
100%.
But yeah, the Cavs look great. They scare me too. I mean, they've been playing so well. They're so young.
You guys beat them last year, though.
I know.
It's basically the same squad for the most part they brought back this year, and you guys beat them last season. They added a couple guys like Max Strus and stuff, but basically the same team from last year.
What do you what do you think about the Doc Rivers hiring? What do you think about it?
I thought Adrian Griffin honestly wasn't a bad coach. I guess the way they saw it was Giannis and Damian Lillard, and I guess the team didn't feel like they could win something with him as the guy in charge. I think they liked him probably as a person. They just didn't think he was the best coach for them. Defensively, they really struggled to start the season, but obviously the offense really figured things out. They had the second best record in the NBA when they fired Adrian Griffin, so I was a little bit confused by the move. Maybe he wasn't going to get you over the top, but I don't think you're going to lose a playoff series just because he's your coach. I think what it really comes down to is the players on the court playing defense, guys hustling. That's a big difference maker in the playoffs. But Doc Rivers, I thought at some point he'd jump back into basketball coaching. I thought he'd take this year and just work for ESPN like he was doing. I didn't expect him to jump in midway through the season. He's going to be coached in the All-Star game actually next weekend, so I don't think he expected me coaching an All-Star game.
That's crazy, right? So I didn't know that. So what is it, the 1 seed the year before gets to coach?
So it's the 1 seed, I guess, heading into the All-Star game. So the Celtics are the 1 seed right now, but since
when it was
Joe Mazzulla coached last year, you can't do it 2 years in a row.
Okay.
So it becomes the 2 seed, and Milwaukee, I guess, is the 2 seed. So that's why it ends up being Doc Rivers. But I don't know.
Coaching 5 games, he's won
1 game. He's 1-5, I think, in 6 games with Milwaukee. It's unfortunate the slow start to their era since I think the Doc Rivers era. But
I think they'll be fine. But I'm not as afraid of them as I would have been in years past.
Definitely, I think it's the defense is a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Brook Lopez is great defensively in the paint. He's getting older, but he's good you can rely on him to make plays.
Well, he just got traded, right?
Robin Lopez, his brother did.
Sorry.
Did you see the meme? His brother sitting in the stands. No, you're good. I mean, they're both on the team. But his brother Robin got traded. I believe it's to Sacramento. Sacramento's expected to buy his contract out, so he's going to end up being a free agent. He was at the Milwaukee Bucks game this past week after being traded, just sitting on the sidelines reading a book. It was great. I became more of a fan of Robin Lopez. It was a great vibe. He's just sitting there reading a book, not paying attention. His brother Brook hits a big 3. Robin doesn't pay attention. Just sitting there reading a book. It was great.
That's awesome.
It was great.
I saw he tweeted that he was teammates with Patrick Beverley for an hour and a half.
He was. It was a quick run. It was a quick run. Patrick Beverley then, obviously now being with the Bucks. That's a good addition to their lineup. They needed some defense. That's a big addition to their lineup considering I think defense has been the biggest issue all year long. But Doc Rivers, I mean, and a lot of people look at his tenure in the NBA and just look at the one ring he had with the Celtics, which that team was ridiculous talent-wise. I do think he's a good coach. But there's just too many years of inconsistent, endings where the Sixers...
He should have gotten farther with that 76ers team
100%.
than he went.
It was disappointing every year. Even last year, I mean, they had a chance to beat the Celtics. They were up in that series, I believe, 3-2.
Yeah.
They had a chance to put the Celtics away in Game 6. And then obviously James Harden and Joel Embiid didn't have the best games 6 and 7. Game 7 was a real struggle for Embiid and Harden. That was tough. They should have had more, I think, if you look at his time with the Sixers. Even the Celtics, I mean, they only had one NBA Finals ring. They probably should have won one more. They lost to Kobe in 2009. That was obviously a big series. The Celtics honestly should have won, but things just didn't go their way. I don't know if it was coaching that problem. I think it was just Kobe Bryant and that team was just special, the Lakers, that core they had. But he should have done more, I think, if you look at his tenure. So
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think it's tough. I feel bad considering it's been a slow start. I think when you start that slow, people are going to be on your case always. But I think he'll figure things out. I think they have too much talent in Milwaukee to really struggle. So the team you fear the most, probably the Celtics.
Yeah.
And then after that, would you say the Cavs?
In the East, yeah, probably.
I would have said the Sixers if Embiid was fully healthy, but who knows what Embiid's going to look like 2 months from now, 3 months from now,
Yeah.
And they don't want to force it and, end his, season, him tearing something completely. It's tough. You want to be careful. You have to be careful with them.
Yeah. I don't know. I heard. I know, like when he missed that Nuggets game, people were saying like, oh, he likes to dodge tough
That's what
away
they say,
games
but
and stuff. So.
it's a legit injury. It's like Paul George and Kawhi. The big storyline around them the last 3 years was Kawhi Leonard and Paul George love to load manage, love to sit games out, but they've played in a lot of back-to-backs this season. Paul George is playing through a groin injury right now. 10 games, he hasn't really been playing good basketball, really struggling from the floor. I think it's best, honestly, I know people are going to say he loves sitting games out if he sits, because Paul George hasn't really sat all season long, besides I think 2 games maybe he's missed. If he sits out today versus Detroit and sits out the next 3 games for the All-Star break, I think that would be the best idea for him. He's got to get healthy.
Yeah, why not?
The groin's a problem. As you've seen with the Knicks.
And then you get a week off at the All-Star break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which would be huge. And he might even sit out of the All-Star game. Who knows? This is just a guess. This is what I would do if I was Paul George. And I feel like I don't want to push it. And I don't want to, end my season by pulling something completely. Like, I think it's best to play it safe. And you've seen the Knicks. They've had guys sit out. And guys can step up and still play, like DiVincenzo. Yeah. Guys will have, in the Clippers lineup will be able to play. Hopefully Bones Highland gets some minutes at some point if Paul George were to sit out. But you need guys to step up.
It's also a chance for you to see when you make a playoff run some guys that you wouldn't have seen before that
100%.
can play really well and
Definitely.
you didn't know, and maybe play a different role than they are right now. And
Definitely.
Play more minutes in the playoffs. So it's also a chance, like when you're the Clippers and you have good role guys and
Definitely. There's depth.
Good reserve guys, like you can see what kind of they can do, and so I don't think it's a bad time for that. A few games before the All-Star break,
100%.
like, why not let your guys get healthy?
Yeah, give Amir Coffey some more minutes. It's
Yeah.
my boy. He's been balling. He's had a good season. He's a big reason the Clippers are playing good basketball. But the James Harden trade we needed, I think that's obviously a big addition.
I think that was a great trade for you guys.
Definitely.
For sure.
And we needed something on offense for nights when Paul George is hurt or Kawhi Leonard's not having a great night. You needed something else to help offensively. And James Harden's instant offense. Pick and roll, he's great. He can shoot. He can give you 25 any given night, but he's only averaging just 17 or 18 points per game because the Clippers don't need much from him on offense. Just because they have 2 superstars in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. One last thing I wanted to ask of you. When you look at Jalen Brunson's season, he's had a great year, 27 points per game. Where do you see him in the MVP race? Because that's a big topic of conversation. Is he an MVP candidate or not?
I think he is. Personally.
I think he should be, considering what the Knicks are at.
I think he should be. I mean, yeah, you look at what he's done for this Knicks team as everyone will say like, oh, he's short, he's on the shorter end, like, but you know what? He's leading that Knicks team. He's running the show for them. I
Definitely.
mean, he's a leader now. He was tearing up the other day. Knicks fans screaming MVP for him
at MSG,
after the game, after he had a big game. I mean, like, he really like appreciates the fans. The Knicks haven't had a guy like this that they've absolutely adored. I mean, I don't even know, like, Melo in the beginning, but then people started to Knicks fans started to say he was selfish, and then I don't know.
He went for his stats, but I love
and
Melo.
you don't see Brunson like that at all. And I mean,
he's
you look at all the big time announcers right now, like Shaq, Charles Barkley. They're all saying Brunson should be in the MVP race. So, and
I think he should be.
They know basketball more than I do, and if those guys
are
saying
your
that,
sports.
I mean,
your basketball. I mean, hey, that's the reason you're on this pod. I needed someone to come in and talk some Knicks. I need someone to come in and talk about the Giants. You know your stuff.
Of course, no, yeah. I just meant like I'm glad he's getting the recognition he deserves.
Definitely.
I mean,
Definitely.
He's a stud, and I'm happy to see he's getting the success that
definitely
he works hard, and he shows it on the court, and so
definitely
you appreciate a guy like that, and he's actually a good guy, and like
he's earned it.
Yeah,
definitely. I think when I look at Brunson's game, one thing I do worry about, I said this on the podcast a couple weeks ago, is obviously he's on the smaller side. I think in the playoffs, I love him. Obviously in the regular season he's been great. I think the playoffs, it might be tough in a 7-game series, just because you can kind of game plan a little bit and figure things out. Obviously, that's why I worry about him, just because I don't know if he's the number one in the playoffs. But with that being said, you guys beat the Cavs last year. He proved everyone wrong last year, and now he's doing it even more. So I'm hoping I'm proven wrong about him and where he stands, obviously, in making a run with you guys. I think you guys can make a run. I'm not saying that. I just worry a little. But
we need Julius Randle to play well in the playoffs.
That's
I mean, the last 2 years he was great in the regular season. Then when the playoffs came around, he forgot how to shoot. So like
that's a problem.
Whether it's tired legs or just the too big of a moment, like it just looked like he was gassed and out of it, and like not like a completely different player than he was in the regular season. So he needs to just stay he's playing
healthy.
He's hurt right now, but he made the All-Star team. Like he was playing great at the beginning of this year.
I like Julius Randle. I think he's a good player.
I hope he comes back, and we need him to be good in the playoffs, because if him and Brunson are both at their top level, I could see us definitely making a run.
They're both playing at their top level. That's what we've seen the Knicks do since January 1st. You guys are the best record in the NBA. So, and rightfully so, obviously. You guys have been playing great basketball. You deserve it. I think you guys and the Cavs are the two hottest teams in the NBA right now. The Cavs have won 16 of the last 17, and the Knicks, before these guys got hurt at one point, you had the best record in the new year, which I don't know if things have changed now. Obviously, you did lose a game with Brunson and everyone out the other night. But the one thing I do worry about is Brunson in a 7-game series, just because I think he's probably better as a number 2. At the same time, though, number 2s can step up and be a big reason you win NBA playoff series and win the NBA Finals. You need guys to step up around you, which Brunson has proven he can be the guy, obviously, in the regular season. So I hope I'm proven wrong in the playoffs. And that's not me rooting against him. I'm rooting for him. I think it'd be better if you had him as a number 2 in the playoffs. That's just because in a 7-game series, I think it might be a little bit tougher. But with that being said, though, I was proven wrong about the contract. I was proven wrong about the contract. I admit that. I always say if I'm wrong about things. Like, I was proven wrong about the contract. And one other thing I was proven wrong about was the Knicks obviously last year beating the Cavs. I didn't expect that at all. I thought the Cavs were going to beat them like 5 or 6 games, and the Knicks just completely took them out. Defense was great. You guys were hitting big shots. And like I said, New York, when they're playing good basketball and they're doing well in sports in general, like, it's fun to watch. So I'm rooting for the Knicks for that reason. And I'm a Clippers fan, so it's not like I have to root against the Knicks. You know what I mean? I'm a Clippers fan first, and then I have teams around the NBA I like the Sacramento Kings. I don't have a reason to root against the Knicks. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing. But anyways, Christian, don't want to take too much more of your time. Anything else you want to add in, whether it's Super Bowl, Knicks, Yankees, which is a nice car horn there. You get to hear what it's like here on the street, which is great. I apologize for the noise, but I think it adds a nice nature element to the pod. Hearing
it's
it.
a beautiful day out here in South Boston.
The birds are chirping, like you said. Like, you know what I mean? You got the great vibes here.
Yeah.
And I got a great conversation with Christian, obviously. Anything else you want to add in, though?
No, I appreciate you having me on. You doing anything tomorrow for the Super Bowl? Hanging out with family?
Probably hanging out with the fam.
Nice.
Excited for the game, though. Got some homework to do, unfortunately, so that's going to be something I have to do before the game.
I know you're going to be watching the game.
I'll be locked in. That's going to be something I have to do today, the homework, to get ready for tomorrow. But definitely looking forward to watching, though. Obviously, the chips and dip, get ready. Obviously, the appetizers and everything, getting ready for the game. But what about you?
I think we're just going to have a couple friends here. One of our friends' girlfriend's going to be cooking some food for us.
There you go.
Yeah, so should be a good time.
There you go. With the squad, why not? Like I said, it's about the chips and dip, the appetizers. Exactly. If your team's not in the Super Bowl, it's just about, obviously enjoying the game.
I think I'll throw some money on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs to win. I do.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs win that game. I know both of us like them.
I got to do some research tonight on some little parlays I'm going to cook up.
There you go.
Tomorrow's the one day a year I think I can gamble a little extra more than I usually do. So
yeah, I mean, why not, right? We do it all in we do it all in moderate amounts, just when there's a big game and you want to get a little more tuned in, obviously. But what we say, obviously, at the end of the day is these are picks for us. We're not giving anyone advice to go out there and throw money out the window. We're just doing this for us, just for fun, for entertainment purposes, as Felger and Maz and Zolik and Bertrand say on 98.5, the Sports Hub. They do for entertainment purposes. We're not giving anyone advice to go out. But we both do like the Chiefs. And that's the team I'm rooting for. I think at the end of the day, the NFL wants to see Taylor Swift on the field with Travis Kelce after
maybe he'll propose. Maybe he'll propose if they win or something.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. There was a prop bet I saw, like, is somebody going to be proposed to after the game, whether it's Taylor or someone else?
Really?
Like, yeah, you can bet on it, which I'm not going to bet on that. I don't advise anyone to, because who knows? Like, you know what I mean?
Only thing that worries me, if that does happen, no one's going to be talking about the game.
Yeah, no one's exactly. No one. That's going to take a different. That's going to take stuff away from Mahomes if he wins. People are just going to talk about proposal rather than him having a great game if he does. But Christian, thank you so much for coming on. I'll definitely have you on again. We'll talk obviously about the Yankees at some point, which we have a friend, Jack Natoli. He's going to come on and talk about the Yankees and the Juan Soto trade, which is a big move there for New York. All of you come on, talk about that anytime, as always. It's a true pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on here, obviously. And obviously, it was great vibes here, being able to talk sports with you. It's always a great time talking sports with you, but beautiful day like this, it's even better. So thank you so much. Looking forward to you being on again. And we'll talk BC as well at some point. We'll talk BC basketball, which we already did that today before the podcast. But
might have to talk some BC baseball after
baseball,
you had their new coach on. I used to work for the team at BC, so I'm a big supporter of the squad. So
there you go. No, all the guys. I mean, the core for the most part stayed. They had some guys transfer, like Julian Tongini. I think that's to pronounce his name right. He transferred out, and then the catcher you liked left as well.
Yeah. Bronx native. Yeah,
yes.
he's gone. So
he left.
Guzman,
yes.
Yeah.
Adonis Guzman, was it?
Yep.
So he's gone, unfortunately. But they have a good core there still. They still got Joey Ryan and
Cam Leary's still there.
Cam Leary's still there.
Year,
Yep,
yeah.
one more year. Barry Walsh is still there for one more year. Schroeder's still there. Eric Schroeder, the pitcher, he's still there. And they have one other guy. And I was just mentioning his name in the podcast, like the 6'7" pitcher.
Johnny West.
Johnny West is still there. So they
I think
have
he's
a good core
great this year too. So
should be fun.
Yeah.
Definitely have you on again anytime though. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. So thank you guys for taking the time to listen. As always, I appreciate it. And here he is, Christian Koutsoubis, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was awesome talking some sports with you, Joey.
Appreciate it as always. Take care, guys. Have a good one and enjoy tomorrow's Super Bowl. Thank you.